Hello and welcome. Today we're talking peptides. Are peptides new in skincare? Absolutely not. But are they worth the hype? Are they worth the expense? Do they actually work? This is what we're going to talk about today. I tried 5 serums over this summer. Usually around this time of year, I share with you a full skincare routine and give you some before and afters on how my routine worked. But this year, I just had so many products to get through. I just never settled into a firm skincare routine, so I decided to try different types of peptides and share with you my experience, as well as my minimalist makeup routine. You guys always ask me what I'm wearing, so I'll share with you my minimalist makeup routine that I did this morning. I'm going to start with the Medik8, the Advanced MP. I found this absorbed really quickly. I found that it didn't pill no matter what I used with it, no matter what sunscreen I used with it or moisturizer I used with it. The Advanced MP is a beautiful formula. It kind of made the pores in my chin area look a little smaller, gave a little firmness and plumpness to my skin. Another very easy to layer peptide serum was the Medik8 Liquid Peptide 30% Complex. Super thin layer of this, layers beautifully with any other skincare that I used. I would not combine these in the same routine. I think it's duplicating, even though this has growth factors and a few more advanced ingredients. This is a great, very intense, hydrating peptide serum that will not necessarily firm your skin, but deeply hydrate your skin and works well, plays well with all other skincare. Of all the peptides that I tried this summer, the BLOOMEFFECTS Brightening Serum lived up to the claim of brightening the most. The copper peptide in this formula is copper palmitoyl heptapeptide 14, which firms and conditions the skin. It also contains exosomic peptides from the centella stem cell. These are supposed to help with delivery system and reconditioning the skin. In addition to that, it has crocus bulb extract, which brightens the skin, and tulip growth factors, auxin and chitin, which boosts collagen and target signs of aging. So this is a very complex formula. You get a lot in one little serum. It was firming, it was hydrating, it gave my skin a glow, it definitely looked brighter, and it also was very moisturizing. For my dry skin, I actually preferred the BLOOMEFFECTS serum over the Peach and Lily. This is a more watery serum, so if you have drier skin, I think you're going to enjoy this formula a little bit better. This is a little bit more viscous, and you only need about 1/3 of a dropper. I found that if I came in with more than 1/3 of a dropper full, it definitely pilled. And I would say the same thing for the copper peptide serum by Peach and Lily. I don't know if that's specific to copper peptides. If you just get too many, they start to pill, or they were the formulas themselves. But I did notice that very thin, very light layers performed much better by the time I got to my moisturizer and sunscreen. So I did enjoy both these formulas, but definitely like the brightening effect of the BLOOMEFFECTS serum better. The Allies of Skin Peptide Moisturizer is a gorgeous moisturizer. I tended to use this in the evening because the formula is a little bit on the thicker side and slightly too heavy for me during the summertime to use as a moisturizer. I ended up using the OUTSET moisturizer during the daytime and then coming in with the Allies of Skin firming peptide treatment, daily treatment in the evening time. Now let's talk about the myth versus the marketing for peptides. There is not a ton of research on peptides. For example, there's a lot of research on L-ascorbic acid, vitamin C, some research on peptides, and very little research on exosomes and growth factors. So if you're really concerned about researched, evidence-based skincare, then you will find peptides sit in the middle. There is some research, especially when it comes to hydration. Now, you have to take that with a grain of salt because they also can be fairly large molecules. So do they really penetrate into the skin? Advanced formulas like the Medik8 formula that are micronizing peptides have a bigger chance of actually getting into the skin and doing what they're supposed to do. Also, the peptides in the OS1 formulas, they have particular delivery systems that help them penetrate the stratum corneum to get to the area where we want them to actually do the job that they're supposed to do. Brighten, firm, and in the case of the OS1, help mitigate senescent cells. So it honestly depends on the formula, as always. BLOOMEFFECTS is also another very complicated and advanced formula with growth factors, exosomes, and copper peptides. So you know probably for sure that your copper peptides are going to help with firming. There's less evidence about the exosomes and the growth factors, though they've been around forever, and anecdotally, people really enjoy the benefits of them. So you just have to decide for yourself whether you're willing to spend your skincare dollars on some of these more advanced formulas that may not have as much research to back them up. I am very curious about skincare and I love trying all these advanced formulas, but if you want the tried and true, stick to peptides that are brightening for the skin. Stick to peptides that don't necessarily include growth factors and exosomes that bump up the cost. You might want to stick to a formula that's kind of an all-in-one. Moisturizer, brighteners, peptides, and firming ingredients that are well known and well studied, as opposed to jumping into the growth factors and the exosomes that need a little bit more research behind them to actually say they're doing what they say they're doing in the skin. Like I said, I am a skincare maximalist, so I definitely like trying all the cutting edge new formulas, but that doesn't mean you need to spend a ton of money or get these complex formulas to get great skin. Now let me show you how I'm incorporating all these peptides into an easy morning and evening skincare routine. I've been using the DIEUX Ethereal Oil Cleanse. Love it. Rinses clean. I can go on with a microcurrent routine or an LED red light therapy routine, no problem. And then I move straight into my skincare. If I'm using a copper peptide, I'm choosing between the Tulip and the Peach and Lily. I never use both of these. It just doesn't work, and it's also redundant. So if I'm using these, I'm not going to do a vitamin C. I'm just going to come in with one of these serums in the morning and do a nice thin layer. You might be wondering if you can use peptides and your vitamin C. Do they cancel each other out? Do they oxidize? Do they cause each other just not to work? It's a really good question. So with copper peptides, it's best not to use a traditional water-soluble vitamin C like L-ascorbic acid. I would switch to a derivative, tetrahexyldecylascorbate or something similar when you're using your copper peptides in your morning routine. But typically peptides would complement your vitamin C application and they would not cancel them out. It's just the copper peptides that you have to be a little bit careful about. Over that, I may or may not put my liquid peptides by Medicate. If I feel like I'm really dehydrated, I will definitely add a layer of the liquid peptides by Medicate, and then I come in with my anti-pigmentation serum for the morning, which has been the Mother Science. This is their Hero Serum with malastazin, which has been really helping with brow pigmentation. Then I just come in with a light moisturizer. I've been loving the OUTSET. This might be a little bit too heavy for those of you with oily skin, but it's perfect for my dry skin as a light moisturizer. And then of course, topping it off with sunscreen. My go-to as a daily sunscreen has also been the OUTSET at 30 SPF. If it's one of those days I know I'm going to be outside a little bit longer, I layer an SPF 50 on my way out the door. After my skincare routine, I give my SPF about 20 minutes to dry down before I start my makeup. Today's minimalist makeup is the CIELE. This is a beautiful, thin, serum textured skin tint. I absolutely love it. I've been reaching for that in the typology all summer long. And then I also have been trying to do a little bit more with my brows. I used the Merit Brow Gel this morning, a little bit of no makeup over my eyes, the Hourglass mascara, and for my cheeks to give them a little glow and a little color, I used the Typology lip oil. This is one of the tips that you gave me last week when I did my Typology review, and I love it. It just gives a little glow to my cheeks and a little bit of color that's very natural looking. And of course, top off the look with a little bit of lip color. These are the Effortless Lips by Reviewed. This is the color Tulip, which is a lovely transitional cool pink for summer to fall. Incorporating peptides into your evening skincare routine can get a little tricky, but I'm going to break it down for you and make it super simple. I always start out my evening skincare routine with a double cleanse. I've been using the oil cleanser by Ethereal to break up all the sunscreen and the makeup. And then coming in with PCA's cleanser. Love this for my mature, dry, sensitive skin. I recently reviewed 15 cleansers, and I will leave that video in a pinned comment and in the description down below. Check that out after watching this video. And I will also leave all the products that I'm talking about in the first pinned comment and in the description. So I do my cleanse, and then I come in and pick which peptide serum I'm going to be using. If I'm using the Medicate, it has growth factors in it, so you're going to want to put some time in between this particular serum and applying a retinoid or a retinol product, because theoretically retinols can break down the growth factors. It's not going to do anything to the peptides. Actually, retinoids and peptides go well together, but this particular formula needs a little bit of drying time before you come in with your retinol formula. And on the days that I'm not using my agency prescription tretinoin, I'm using the one by Mother Science. This is their retinol synergist with the malistatin for anti-pigmentation and retinol. So if I'm using these two together, I just give them some time in between to let the Medicate peptides dry down. Another option that will actually complement any retinoid that you're using is using the Liquid Peptides 30% Complex by Medicate. Once I let my retinol dry down, I just come in with a little bit of moisturizer. And that's it for my evening skincare routine. Fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Now you're probably wondering, on those nights that you use an exfoliating treatment, do I use my peptides? I typically don't, because I don't want the pH of my exfoliating products. I've been trying 3 lately, kind of rotating through them. The one by Edam, their Cashmere Peel, which is fairly gentle. A fairly heavy duty exfoliator is the one by Prequel. This has glycolic, which is great for collagen boosting, but for me personally is slightly sensitizing, so I can only do this once a week and sometimes once every other week. A tried and true is the one by Dermalect. Now this has vitamin C in it, so you certainly wouldn't want to combine it with copper peptides in the evening. This has L-ascorbic acid, the water-soluble vitamin C. So on my exfoliating night, I honestly just cleanse, do my exfoliation, put on a moisturizer. That's my very simple exfoliating evening skincare routine. Once a week, I personally like to give my skin a rest from retinols and exfoliation. That's just because I have sensitive skin. There's no reason to skip your retinoids or an exfoliating treatment and rotate them through without having a rest day. That's just my particular choice. My skin just seems to do better if I give it a day of rest once a week. So I've been using the Medicate after cleansing, and then coming in with the Allies of Skin moisturizer. This is a nice heavy moisturizer. It just gives my skin a reset. Yes, it's kind of double duty on the firming peptides with the Peptide Serum underneath it, but it just seems to work really well for my skin. I wake up with super hydrated skin, and I've given my skin a night off from active skincare, which I found personally helps my skin regenerate and reset from the 6 days of active skincare that I've been doing throughout the week. I'm so curious to know if you've tried peptides. I know a lot of you have tried copper peptides and swear by them, and others of you say they just don't work for you. So it's so interesting to learn from what you're trying and what you're learning about your skin. Thank you so much for joining in the comments and sharing what you know. That's how we learn from each other and get the best skin of our lives over 50. A quick note on what's coming up in September. I have a hair video where there's going to be a giveaway by 2 very popular brands. You're not going to want to miss that, so definitely subscribe and click that notification bell to all. I also have a fall minimalist makeup routine coming up, as well as a video coming up toward the end of the month on how we can reset our skincare routines from summer to fall. Thanks very much for watching, and wishing you all a skintastic day.